Welcome to Panels and Borders. I'm Dominic, and this is another episode of Road to Dune. So we're going to go into the part 2 of the Warner Brothers press release that was published by Vanity Fair. And a lot of really interesting things, and there's some things that were rumor for a long time, especially one item that was confirmed. So without wasting any further time, I'm going to jump right into it. Behold Dune, an exclusive look at Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Oscar Isaac, and more. Timothée Chalamet remembers the darkness. It was the summer of 2019, and the cast and crew of Dune had ventured deep into the sandstone and granite canyons of southern Jordan, leaving in the middle of the night so they could catch the dawn on camera. The light spilling over the chasms gave the landscape an otherworldly feel. It was what they had come for. It was really surreal, says Chalamet. There are these Goliath landscapes, which you may imagine existing on planets in our universe, but not on Earth. They weren't on Earth anymore anyway. They were on a deadly, dust-dry battleground planet called Arrakis, in Frank Herbert's epic 1965 sci-fi novel. Arrakis is the only known location of the galaxy's most vital resource, the mind-altering, time and space warping spice. In the new film adaptation directed by Arrival and Blade Runner 2049 filmmaker Denis Villeneuve, Chalamet stars as the young royal Paul Atreides, the proverbial stranger in a very strange land, who's fighting to protect this hostile new home even as it threatens to destroy him. Humans are the aliens on Arrakis. The dominant species on that world are immense, voracious sandworms that burrow through the barren drifts like subterranean dragons. So before I go on, I want to take a second just to talk about the picture here. Now these are the Stillsuits, and I think they look good, and you can kind of see a few hints of the old David Lynch style Stillsuits in there, because it's kind of got that rubbery look to it, like it might be almost made more out of rubber and stuff like that. And same thing with the nose pieces, are like the nose pieces from the David Lynch film. So there was at least, I think, some little bit of inspiration there. So it seems that there might be a bit of truth to that rumor that they used the David Lynch film as a starting point for the visuals of this film, because that does have a bit of that 84 David Lynch feel to it, Stillsuits. And they don't look completely jet black, though. They kind of are more of a tan color, but they look great, and they look that what I like is they actually have their Fremen. Looks like they're going to have their Fremen cloaks in this one, which they didn't have in the Lynch film. And what's cool is they got the respirator mask piece. You can see that part there on Jessica. So that's a nice touch. That's something from the books, because in the books they got like a full hood and mouthpiece that goes over their face. So they have this in that one too, but they also got just the optional nose piece. So let's move on. For the infinite seas of sand that give the story its title, the production moved to remote regions outside Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates, where the temperatures rival the fiction in Herbert's story. I remember going out of my room at 2 a.m. and it being probably 100 degrees, says Chalamet. During the shoot, he and the other actors were costumed in what the world of Dune calls stillsuits, thick, rubbery armor that preserves the body's moisture, even gathering tiny bits from the breath exhaled through the nose. In the story, the suits are life-giving. In real life, they were agony. The shooting temperature was sometimes 120 degrees, says Chalamet. They put a cap on it out there. If it gets too hot, I forget what the exact number is, but you can't keep working. The circumstances fed the story they were there to tell. In a really grounded way, it was helpful to be in the stillsuits and to be in that level of exhaustion. So, I guess that would be rough having to work in those rubber suits out in the heat. So here is the first image of Chani of Zendaya as Chani, and you can see from that photo she has the blue eyes, but her whites, I don't know how blue the whites are. It seems like there's I don't know, maybe if I'm just seeing things, but it seems like there is a tint of blue in the whites. So they're going to go with the blue within blue eyes. And then she kind of has her Fremen hood there that kind of helps the Fremen hide in the desert. But yeah, she looks good as Chani, and kind of looks like her hair looks like it might have some reddish tint to it. I don't know if I'm just seeing things or not, but that's what it looks like to me. So let's move on to the rest of the article here. It wouldn't be Dune if it were easy. Herbert's novel became a sci-fi touchstone in the 1960s, heralded for its world-building and ecological subtext, as well as its intricate, some say impenetrable, plot focusing on two families struggling for supremacy over Arrakis. The book created ripples that many see in everything from Star Wars to Alien to Game of Thrones. Still, for decades, the novel itself has defied adaptation. In the 1970s, the wild man experimental filmmaker Alejandro Jodorowsky mounted a quest to film it, but Hollywood considered the project too risky. David Lynch brought Dune to the big screen in a 1984 feature, but it was derided as an incomprehensible mess and a blight on his filmography. In 2000, a Dune miniseries on what's now the Sci-Fi Channel became a hit for the cable network, but it is now only dimly remembered. So now let's take a look at this picture. This is all of House Atreides here. You can see in the front there that looks like Duncan, Idaho. And yeah, they look fantastic. I like the uniforms. They're pretty simple looking. Like, they're not overly designed. It's kind of like a less is more approach. And you can see the banner and the kind of like sharp angles, everything, like what the architecture has. Kind of reminds me of Blade Runner 2049, actually, that scene where they're all standing right now. You can see all the house together, Lady Jessica, Gurney Halleck. It looks really good. Looks fantastic. And looks great. I think it looks really good so far, the visuals, the images that they're showing us. Can't wait to see more. So let's move on. Villeneuve intends to create a Dune that has so far only existed in the imagination of readers. The key, he says, was to break the sprawling narrative in half. When Dune hits theaters on December 18th, it will only be half of the novel, with Warner Brothers agreeing to tell the story in 2 films, similar to the studio's approach with Stephen King's It and It Chapter 2. I would not agree to make this adaptation of the book with one single movie, says Villeneuve. The world is too complex. It's a world that takes its power in details. For Villeneuve, this 55-year-old story about a planet being mined to death was not merely a space adventure, but a prophecy. No matter what you believe, Earth is changing, and we have to adapt, he says. That's why I think that Dune, this book, was written in the 20th century. It was a distant portrait of the reality of the oil and the capitalism and the exploitation, the overexploitation of Earth. Today, things are just worse. It's a coming-of-age story, but also a call for action for the youth. So in this photo here, you can see Stilgar there, Javier Bardem in the Stilgar gear, and yeah, he looks great. And that's kind of like pretty much how I always pictured Stilgar in my mind. Stilgar looking like that with like a thick beard and the still suit, and the only thing I always picture him with a hood on and a Fremen cloak, which I'm sure you'll probably see him wear that in the film. And here we can get a better look at the details of the still suit. And yeah, the still suits look fantastic. I really like those still suits. They look good. I think they look good. Chalamet's character, Paul, thinks he's just a boy struggling to find a place in the world, but he actually possesses the ability to change it. He has a supernatural gift to harness and unleash energy, lead others, and meld with the heart of his new home world. Think Greta Thunberg, only she's a Jedi with a diploma from Hogwarts. The author of this really just do that, make that comparison. So Greta Thunberg is going to become a conqueror, conquer the whole planet, and cause genocide. Is that what he's saying? Because that's what Paul ends up doing. Oh God. Anyway, that one got an eye roll. Paul becomes a powerful galactic family with a name that sounds like a constellation, the House Atreides. His father and mother, Duke Leto, played by Oscar Isaac, and Lady Jessica, Rebecca Ferguson, take their son from their lush, Scandinavian-like home world to preside over the spice extraction on Arrakis. What follows is a clash with the criminal, politically connected House Harkonnen, led by the monstrous Baron Vladimir Stellan Skarsgård, a mammoth with merciless appetites. The Baron, created with full-body prosthetics, is like a rhino in human form. This version of the character is less of a madman and more of a predator. As much as I deeply love the book, I felt that the Baron was flirting very often with caricature, says Villeneuve, and I tried to bring him a bit more dimension. That's why I brought in Stellan Skarsgård. Something in the eyes. You feel that there's someone thinking, that has tension and is calculating inside, deep in the eyes. I can testify, it can be quite frightening. So let's look at this picture now. The Atreides in some kind of like battle armor or something, and that looks pretty cool, that armor. And you kind of see everything's kind of got these sharp angles. The design so far of everything in the movie, like their armor and that room that you see later on, everything has like these sharp angles to it, all the design stuff, so that's interesting. And we finally get to see Oscar Isaac as Duke Leto, and yeah, he looks badass. He looks good in this movie. They all do. And Gurney Halleck too, same thing. Looks fantastic. So far everything in this movie looks great. Like the visuals look great. The director has also expanded the role of Paul's mother, Lady Jessica. She's a member of the Bene Gesserit, a sect of women who can read minds, control people with their voice, again a precursor to the Jedi mind trick, and manipulate the balance of power in the universe. In the script, which Villeneuve wrote with Eric Roth and John Spaeths, she is even more fearsome than before. The studio's plot synopsis describes her as warrior princess. As Villeneuve jokes, it's better than Space Nun. I have to agree with that. Warrior princess does sound a lot better than Space Nun. Lady Jessica's duty is to deliver a savior to the universe. And now she has a greater role in defending and training Paul too. She's a mother, she's a concubine, she's a soldier, says Ferguson. Denis was very respectful of Frank's work in the book. The quality of the arcs for much of the women have been brought up to a new level. There were some shifts he did, and they are beautifully portrayed now. And here's Duncan Idaho, the sword master, and he looks fantastic. And because I remember I wasn't sold on the casting. A lot of people thought that Jason Momoa should be Stilgar or someone like that, and they didn't think he fit the role of Duncan Idaho. But with the shaved beard and the way he looks there in that picture, I think he's going to do a good job in that role as Duncan Idaho, because him actually shaving his beard actually alters his look quite a bit, in my opinion anyway. So another great shot of him. So let's move on. An intriguing change to the source material, Villeneuve has updated Dr. Liet Kynes, the leading ecologist on Arrakis, and an independent power broker amid the various warring factions. Although always depicted as a white man, the character is now played by Sharon Duncan Brewster, Rogue One, a black woman. What Denis had stated to me was there was a lack of female characters in his cast, and he had always been very feminist, pro-woman, and wanted to write the role for a woman, Duncan Brewster says. This human being manages to basically keep the peace among many people. Women are very good at that, so why can't Kynes be a woman? Why shouldn't Kynes be a woman? As fans will know, there's a vast menagerie of other characters populating Dune. There are the humans called Mentats, augmented with computer-like minds. Paul is mentored by two warriors, Duncan Idaho and Gurney Halleck, played by Jason Momoa and Josh Brolin. Dave Bautista plays the sinister Harkonnen enforcer Glasu Raban, and Charlotte Rampling has a key role as the Bene Gesserit Reverend Mother. The list goes on. In the seemingly unlivable wilds of Arrakis, Javier Bardem leads the Fremen tribe as Stilgar, and Zendaya co-stars as a mysterious woman named Chani, who haunts Paul in his dreams as a vision with glowing blue eyes. Okay, so let's talk about this Sharon Duncan Brewster thing. So this has been like an ongoing controversy about this film, this casting of her, things like that. And first off, I have to eat crow because I called BS on this, and I called out Bounding in the Comics, who originally, way back in September of last year, said they had a leak and said they had an inside source that gave them this information, and I called BS on the story. I didn't believe it because it came from Bounding in the Comics, and it just seemed like they were trying to stir the pot. But I have to eat crow. I was completely wrong. They were right. So the character is being played by Sharon Duncan Brewster. Now we have it official right from the studio itself. The other thing, now this proves that the Fandom Menace, the channels that make up the Fandom Menace, they at least have some actual sources inside of Hollywood. Because Bounding in the Comics is basically the news website for the Fandom Menace. So they have an inside source, and maybe Midnight's Edge, because there's a lot of YouTubers that call them out and doubt that they have any inside sources. And now this proves they have at least some legit inside sources, because they reported on this inside leak. And even the Stillsuits kind of having a little bit of that David Lynch look to them. That might even prove somewhat of what Midnight's Edge was saying about it, about the architecture, design, and all that kind of stuff, and that they were going to use the David Lynch film as like a base for the visuals. So this kind of vindicates the Fandom Menace, in my opinion, that this came to be true. So now this was a creative choice that I didn't agree with, making Liette a woman. And some people agreed with me in the comments section. Some people disagreed with me. But since it's official and what's done is done, it is what it is. I'm not going to rag on it anymore. I'm just going to look forward to the film. And we'll see what kind of a job the actress does. Hopefully she does a really good job and knocks it out of the park. And we'll see if there was... if the other rumor is true, that she's actually going to be Stilgar's wife in this film, if they're going to change that part of the storyline. But what I am curious to see, though, is she going to be, now that the character is a woman, is the character going to be killed off the same way they were in the books? That'll be interesting to see. The breadth of Dune is what has made it so confounding for others to adapt. It's a book that tackles politics, religion, ecology, spirituality, and with a lot of characters, says Villeneuve. I think that's why it's so difficult. Honestly, it's by far one of the most difficult things I've done in my life. After finishing this first movie, he'll just have to do it all over again. So that logo there, that's the official Dune logo from the official Warner Brothers Dune website. It looks pretty fantastic. So my final thoughts on all this. The images look fantastic. That image of Timothée Chalamet and Rebecca Ferguson together, that first image, looks great. I love that image. And Timothée Chalamet looks like Paul Atreides. He completely fits the role. And Rebecca Ferguson looks fantastic as Lady Jessica. And you can kind of see some influence of the 84 film in there. And also you can see a lot of Blade Runner 2049 in the look of this movie. And even the Atreides uniforms are very less is more approach. But I do like the design of uniforms. I think they're very good. That less is more approach. And and then the controversy about Sharon Duncan Brewster is true, which we didn't know if it was just a rumor that was getting spread around by Bounding in the Comics. But it is true. Now, with that said, she does look good. Everyone looks good in all these pictures. She looks good with the still suit on and on set and everything with the blue eyes. Everything looks good. So we'll see how it all plays out when the movie comes out. And but I'm really excited to see this movie. I cannot wait until December. We still no images of the Harkonnens yet, but still we have finally some images, which we've been waiting for a long time. Hopefully soon we get a trailer. That would be really cool. So just before I go, I want to talk about this image here. This was actually created by another YouTuber called Secrets of Dune. And they posted on Twitter, and he said, if anyone wants to use this image in one of their videos, feel free to do so. So I decided to use it in this one. I told him I was going to use it in my next Dune video and that I would give him a shout out. So we have some crossovers. Some of the people that are subscribed to my channel are subscribed to his. And if you want more really great Dune content, check out Secrets of Dune. He has a fantastic channel. And one thing I like about his channel is he has a really nice sounding voice. I know it's going to sound strange, but he does. He has like a really smooth, silky voice when he narrates all of his videos. It makes it really, really nice to listen to. So I always check out I'm subscribed to his channel and I check out all of his content. I think he's doing a great job, and he's really making a great contribution to the Dune fandom. So, and I hope his channel keeps growing and he keeps going. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. Thank you to all of my subscribers, and thank you for watching this video. And if you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to hit the bell icon for notification when new videos are uploaded.